Thank you all for joining our program. Today is Friday again, and today we're going to have Pastor Joe, Nana, and the other colleagues to join us on the youth program. So you can join in on TuneIn, Modern Ghana, on Facebook, YouTube, or on the Hope for Life Radio website. In either way, you can join us on the program. So quickly, I'm going to hand it over to Nana, and then they can take it over. Nana, I'm ready, so.
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you once again for coming. We skipped last week, and today we are joined by two special guests. We have Mrs. Debbie Aqua, all the way from Canada, somewhere in Alberta, and she's a mother with teenage children, 2 boys. At least she's got 2 boys, and she's going to share experience. The last time we were talking about parenting, Christian parenting in the 21st century. And so we are also joined by Dr. Kofi Bonnie, who is also based in Vancouver. And obviously we have Pastor Bonnie here. And without wasting much of your time, we just want to tackle the first question, or probably not the first point we actually want to talk about is we are looking at the challenges of trying to monitor, to strongly control what your children are reading or watching. How do you control it? I don't know if for those of us who are maybe 40 years old or who happen to live in Africa like ourselves in Ghana, you'd remember that, in those days, there was only one TV. There was only one gadget in the house, and most houses didn't have it. So if you wanted to watch your program, you have to go to the neighbor's house. And even if you had to watch yours, if your parents had one and you have to watch it, if there were scenes of sexual nature, you don't want your parents to see you watching it. So you have to cover your eyes. You don't have to be caught seeing it. But in 2021, children don't mind you seeing what they are watching on their gadgets. And you have more than 5 or 6 gadgets in the house. Kids can watch anything. How can you, as a Christian parent, control or strongly keep a lid on what your kids are reading, what they are watching, because we all know that what you behold will gradually change. So I'm just going to throw it to Kofi, and then also listen to Debbie. How do you control this?
I'll start by saying this. I have a little bit a different opinion too, and a different choice of words. Mm-hmm. I will not say control. I will rather use the word, how do you work with your teenager or your child to watch the right things? And it's a lot of dialogue. I will say because using the word control seemed a little bit militant, or the kids will say you are being over possessive and all use this, or in our current world. There is that ideology of liberation. So anything that puts unnecessary pressure on them, they feel you are old age and they will not engage. So how do you get them to understand and choose appropriately? And it's a lot of engagement. It is not one size fits all approach. It is even among your 3 kids, even among your 2 kids, every one of them will respond very differently to direction. I have one teenage boy, the rest are not teenagers. My 11-year-old is as smart as any teenager, and we've tried a couple of interventions. How do you I had to get the softwares that you can use it to lock your system that will not allow them to watch certain networks. But my daughter told me there are ways to go around it, and I asked her to prove it, and she did prove it. So it goes, they are technically, and I'm not sure, you must have time to actually outwit them when it comes to technology. And I'm not sure you want to spend your time outwitting your kid. Like, it's brainless.
All right.
Yes. So how do you engage them? My question is, how do you engage them? Because if you engage them, they will tell you what they want to watch. They will tell you what their friends are telling them. They will tell you what they feel like they are tempted to watch. There are times that you will catch them off guard, okay? So you pretend you don't know what they are doing. You just pop in and check what they are doing. and have a conversation with them. I will normally have this conversation. You cannot unsee what you've seen. And they love stories. Kids, irrespective of age, love stories. So I can tell them some of the things that I've seen that I wish I had never seen. And from my experience, I can talk about some medical incidences and stuff like that that have got permanent. And actually, there's research to prove this. Actually, we talk about post-traumatic secondary trauma. Okay, people may not even have been in trauma, but watching trauma can traumatize you to the point that it affects you in various ways that, as the talk goes on, I can talk about. So my first point that I'll let Debbie chime in, but my first point will be engage your team, get some rapport with your team so they can have a conversation and tell you what they want to watch, what they attempted to watch, and what goes on in their among their friends that they talk about watching.
All right, thank you very much. Yes, Debbie, have you had any experience? How has it been for you with the boys?
Yeah, I think it's a daily thing. You have to, like Kofi said, you have to dialogue with them. Controlling it or trying to be bossy about it doesn't work, because they would find, even if they are not watching the things at home or doing other things at home, they would do it outside with their friends. So I think the best approach is to help them to understand that we have a choice when it comes to the things we read, the things we put in our system. We have a choice. Whatever you watch or you read, it impacts your life, whether that was the intention or not. And so if they understand that they need to be very wise in their choices when it comes to what they are digesting, whether it's on the screen or in the books that they read or in any form of technology, games, then they need to have the understanding that they might not think playing a war game or anything is just a game, but at the end of the day, it's going into your brain. Something sticks there, and then at some point when you see violence, you don't even you don't think it's nothing. It's like going to live in a place where everyone is naked. After a while, you think being naked is normal. And so it's the same thing with technology. Technology is good. They need to use it because that's the world they are growing up in, and they need to be tech savvy and everything. But we have to be, even as adults, we have to be careful the kinds of things that we digest. So for my kids, I make them to understand that it's not just putting a restriction for restriction's sake, but I just want to be interested to know what you're watching. Every movie that we watch, like sometimes if they say, oh, we want to watch this movie, I go online, if it's Netflix, Pureflix, or I just go do my own review, sometimes watch a little bit of it. Or there are some movies I watch initially and I say, oh, this movie is actually nice. We can watch it as a family movie. Or if I see my older son maybe watching a series on Netflix, I would ask him, what is it about? I'll go on Google, check the plot and everything. If it's something that I believe would not help him, I will tell him, I mean, this show, I don't think, even though it's for entertainment, you are still leaving a scar on your brain or something that can impact you. So
this is what Kofi is referring to as engagement.
Exactly, yeah.
So when you are watching, you watch with them, or you try to watch before they even watch it, especially if they are very young.
Yes.
And then I'm just going to introduce this, this word in addition to the engagement, is telling them why you shouldn't watch it. Because if they understand the why, then when you are not there and they find themselves at uni, I remember when we were growing up, there was some music that was never played in my house. So I would not hear some type of music. And so today I'm very old, but I can't play those music. I can only play music I heard in my house, or the type of music I heard, because everything that happens in the home redefines us or prepares us for the future. So it's not enough to restrict.
Just switch it off, or they need to understand why you are doing what you are doing, and it's for their own protection as well. So once they understand, even if you are not there, they can make wise choices, because the whole thing is supporting our kids for them to be able to make their own decisions, but make wise decisions as young Christians and as people that we are preparing for heaven. That's the main aim. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
before
would like to
Joojo comes in
qualify.
with spiritual advice. Yeah, Kofi, go on.
Yeah, I would like to qualify the engagement because I've seen parents who I had a colleague whose son came home one day to tell him, my other friends, they smoke pot with their parents. Can we go and smoke pot? That is not the engagement I'm talking about. This is yes. So do not. I wanted to qualify the type of engagement. So this engagement is an educative, purposeful engagement. There must be a plan to the engagement. Okay, I can engage you by let's then go and watch it together. No. It's a moment for education, moment to steer them, moment to have a discourse, not discussion, a discourse about what they are about to watch and why you wouldn't want them to watch it. What is going on here? How it has implication on your livelihood, or what you'll be consuming. So that is the type of engagement I'm qualifying. It is not just he wants to watch this group of movies. I'm not going to. I want to engage him, or I want to be part of. So let's go and sit down and watch it when there are sexual scenes. No, engage them to the point that you can educate them. And I like the word education. You can lead them from their ignorance. I didn't use teach. I didn't use train. I use educate. Okay? Education is leading someone from ignorance. You can educate them about what you would like them to be watching.
All right, Pastor Bonnie, can you?
Yes. So I like all the points Debbie and Kofi you've all raised. So we've been talking about entertainment. Let me put it that way, like stuff that we can watch, as the words you use, educate. One of the things I personally have seen, as you all rightly said, we grew up in an era where most of the things we're enjoying now was not there when we were growing up. And from where we grew up, if you all remember, it used to be black and white. And even in the black and white, not everybody had a television set when we were growing up, where we coming from. And I remember when color TV came, and where we grew up, it was only was this one main drama troupe, Osofudazi. And so video wasn't really our thing. Then these days, apart from what they are watching, remember they've also got gadgets. And then when you did introduce a topic, you mentioned about books and what else? You mentioned books that we can also read to our children. One of the things I will also emphasize in the generation that Mia Kofi rightly said, and Debbie, most of the young people we've got, the teens, they are smart, and they are far smarter than when it comes to gadgets. They are just there. They buy a mobile phone, and I will struggle to even install it when it's new. Call my 11-year-old 12-year-old, just give it to him. Within 5 minutes, everything is set there, Daddy. You are ready to go. So this is the challenges that we are all facing on the world, or most of the young people we have in this part of the world are all facing here and there. So how do we help them? And I like what Debbie said right. One of the things that I will mention it. There are very good movies. For instance, Men of Honor. Men of Honor. I just want to dwell Men of Honor. Kofi, as you said, Men of Honor. Now, if you watch this movie, Men of Honor, it's all about the main character who was trying to be a Navy diver. And in those days, for a black man to qualify as a Navy diver, which means that black person needs to work as much as twice harder than his counterparts would do. So this guy wanted to prove to everybody he can do the same thing. And when you watch this movie and you look at it very well, he had to go through a lot of endurance, a lot of exercise, a lot of things to prove a point. Now, when you watch a movie like this with your children, not only are you just watching entertainment, but there is a lot of lesson in it. So I would choose to watch a movie like this with my children. So as you said, not watching those things that are not acceptable norm to the society, but what we are trying to bring out, when we watch, so I tell my son or my daughter, do you see how this guy have to work hard? Did you see how they were putting him to? Those are the things I want you to pick from this movie, because I want you to make sure, or as you grow in life, know that you are not going to have life easy. You need to work hard. You need to endure. You need to stay there, not quit, because this is how you can make it. When it comes to books, it's the same thing. We need to make sure we buy our kids, or we buy young people the books, not only to buy them, but it will be good when we can what, encourage them to read. And this, even if you said something to me earlier on before coming on air, that sometimes it's difficult to what, to just say and tell somebody do the do when you yourself, you are not doing the do. You need to make sure you preach what you practice, or what you preach. So you don't just tell people go and do this when you yourself, you are not doing it. And then the last point I throw on this, in all this, the Bible have got something that it says on this, because we are still talking under the word, the banner of our Christian beliefs. And then Romans chapter 12 verse 2, Romans 12 verse 2, and it's one that he said, and do not be what, conform to this world. In other words, to this age, this current age, that will be not conform. When you have got so many gadget latest, every time Apple, Samsung is producing something, do not be conformed to this world, or fashion, or adapt to this world, but be what, transformed. In other words, you have to have the change of renew of your mind, that you may prove that is good and acceptable and perfect will of God. No matter what we do, no matter what goes on around us, remember, we are still talking about how parents can build relationship with their young people. There is a need for us to make sure that whatever they do, they are doing it in the fear of the Lord. God is the foundation. We want them to become good citizens, respecting the law, but at the same time fearing God. Thank you.
Thank you. Now the next point is, how can we make our homes a center of attraction? There are young people who just want to get out of their homes because there's too much screaming, there's too much war, there's fighting, there's abuse, there is so much distraction. They are performing badly at school. They are looking for the earliest opportunity to leave home. They just can't wait to be 18. They just can't wait to go to uni to leave home because there is chaos at home. There is no fun. There's no love. What are some of the things we can do, looking at a typical, African home where young people are so tired of mommy and daddy shouting together? What are some of the tips? What are some of the practical steps, practical tips you can give to bring joy, happiness into homes like this? How can we engage our young people? How can we educate them? And how can we change the tides in our home so that they'll bring, and you can use some of your own practical experience you've had. Debbie, I want to start from you, and then we'll listen to Kofi. What are some of the things you are doing in your home to make your home a happy home?
I think the first thing, it's on us, the parents. So my husband and I have to make sure that the atmosphere that we have at home, even between the two of us, it's a calm attitude. I mean, even if we have to argue, sometimes when maybe we are talking about something and one starts to raise his voice, like we control ourselves, say, oh, keep it down because we are just discussing. But it's just that that's the way we talk as Africans. Sometimes we are a little bit loud because when the children start to feel that they feel, oh, maybe these people arguing, but even when we have a disagreement, we find a way to deal with it so that the kids don't feel that tension in the house. And for the kids, I think personally what I like to do is to make them feel at home. So it's like they are our friends, even though we know they are our children. We try as much as possible to find out what is going on in their lives. So the younger one is almost 11, so he's easy, but sometimes he's quiet and you ask him, oh, is everything okay? It's just probing, oh, if there's something, just let me know. And then the older one, he's a teenager, so sometimes it's a bit harder. They want to share, but they also don't want to make you react, or they don't know how you will react. So sometimes it's not really like a big deal, but they feel, oh, I don't want to bother you. But I still go to his room sometimes in the morning. Oh, greet him. How are you doing? Is everything okay? When they used to go to school, before that, when they come, how was your day? Is everything okay? How are your courses going? Do you need help? We help them at home with their schoolwork. We teach them. I mean, this lockdown, we have been the main instructors in their life for school. And for the older one, at school, they would have maybe like learning sessions or discussion with friends to understand subjects. Because we were in a lockdown, I was doing that with him. So sometimes I would read the textbook just to have an understanding what they are doing, and then I'll go through with him, review his assignments, just kind of be there for them. And with the younger one too, it's the same thing. I mean, I cook with them. I'm showing them how to, I mean, both of them love to cook. The younger one, even close to 11, but he makes all kinds of, he makes all types of food. And sometimes when I'm cooking, I just call them to, you know, get them involved. If you want to make jollof, this is how it's done. Just to, you know, even though they are my kids and I know that they need to respect me, I also need to show them that respect by, you know, making the home feel good, such that when they are outside, they always itch to come home. We had this lockdown. Some people were like, oh, our kids, they just wanted to stay home. And up to this day, they still, the younger one, even when you say, oh, go out and you see the neighborhood kids, they say, I just want to be inside. They just, you know, even when we go out, sometimes he will be like, when are we getting back home? I just want to be home. So they love their space. Because we've created that environment of peace and, you know, letting them know that we care for them. And even when they do things that are out of line, we have a way that we talk to them and make them to understand that it's not that maybe we are upset with them for nothing, but sometimes you see them going on a certain, you just need to correct them so that they don't keep growing with that. So we try to have a cordial relationship with them. When we are talking to them and maybe they step trying to make us feel like we are equals, you kind of correct them that, oh, the fact that I'm friendly with you, that doesn't mean you can say anything you want to me or, you know, address me in a certain way. And they understand that. But I feel to make our children grow in the way God has purposed them and to make them achieve their God-given potential, we need to go down to their level. The same way Jesus did when he was on earth. He went down to people's levels. He did not stay somewhere, say, I'm God's son and I'm here and all these other people. He found himself always where the action was and where people needed him. So even though we are parents, we need to be role models. We need to say whatever we tell them, we need to role model that so that they can trust us. If we say one thing and do the other, that trust is broken. When we advise them, they would not listen. But we need to be there for our kids. We need to love them the same way they were when they were babies, like always fuss over them. As they grow, we need to continue to show that love.
Excellent. Kofi, how do we make a happy home? Debbie, thank you for the points raised. Debbie has spoken about discipline and love and engagement and everything. So how do we make our home, how do you make your home a happy home? Because there is a strong correlation between young people who want to come home and stay home as a result of happiness at home and those who don't want to be home because there is chaos at home. Whenever there is chaos at home, young people, sometimes they just even want to jump out of the window. But when there is love, there is peace, wherever they go, they always want to come home. Kofi, how do you create a happy home?
Yes, you mentioned two good ingredients. That's the love and peace. So it's can you hear me?
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah. So it is how do we nurture love and peace at home? So it starts with communication. I would say communication is a huge piece. How do we communicate at home? Will bring love and peace. I also add in how do we look for each other's interest. Look for each other's interest because there are some that are quieter than others, and some can tolerate, others cannot tolerate. So they can be there, they do not mind. That doesn't mean they like it. Okay, you want us to be playing Monopoly. I may not like to play Monopoly, but I can tolerate playing Monopoly. Others will tell you they do not like. So it is constant communication, looking at each other's interests, making sure we are accepting of whichever point, wherever you are in your life. If you are sad, we cheer you up. It's okay to be sad. Sometimes you just want to be left alone. Yes, if you are happy. So these are the things that we can do. As parents, we are leaders in our home. And what does a leader do? This calls in what your leadership skills looks like. Okay, you must. I will come again. You must emulate. You must show what it means to be happy. You don't take all the decisions. Involve them in the decision making at home, so that everybody will be happy at home. That doesn't mean there should be democracy. I'm not going to go far and say everybody has a vote and not everybody pays the bill. So there cannot be equal. Somebody is wiser than somebody. So it is not an equal voting system. And I'll not even bring politics into the home. Well, you can discuss politics, but look for opportunities. Every home is different. Cherish each individual's strengths and weakness at home. Some are just giggly and happy go and can light up the whole place. Others are not like that. Others are quiet and just want their peace, and they don't mind. Bring everybody together. Look for shared interest. Not everybody likes biking. If not everybody wants to read, not everybody wants to play this particular instrument. Others would like to get a trumpet. You find trumpet irritating. Not everybody would like to play the piano. Accommodate. And these are children, so I'm sure you have one or two things in common. So look for what is your commonality, celebrate your differences, and create peace. These are the few that it is a lot. So I threw out peace, love, communication, engaging everybody, letting everybody being accepted at home. These are the few that comes to mind.
Thank you, Pastor.
Nana. Yeah, I want to continue. Let me draw you guys back and let's do something practical. Currently where we all live, you guys live in Canada, we live in the UK, we got a lot of audience watching from the States. I just want to draw something back because we're making some comparison, because over here, in my experience, one of the things I've realized there, as you said, there's quite a good number of young people who look forward to leaving home, especially for uni, or even when they get every chance to leave home and go out to work. What tends to come out, most of these young people, or those that have come to know, it's like once they get opportunity to leave, they don't want to come back. Not because they don't want to be independent, but when it comes to home, to them, there is nothing to be proud about home. There is nothing that make them misses home, that they want to come back to home. So I am just drawing this scenario. When we were growing up, where we used to live, the house was very small, 3-bedroom house, and a hall on a mission premises. But because the church, we were living in mission house, the premises was so big. I remember it so clearly that our house or the home that we live was the meeting place, or was the spot, or was the base for almost all our friends, both Christian friends and non-Christian friends. In other words, church friends and not church friends. And our home became the place everybody loved, even for our cousins or our some of our blood relatives. Why? Because when you come to the place on holidays, there is a place we all play table tennis on our premises by our home. We've got table tennis. We've got people who want to play football. As you said, not everybody uniformity. You can do so many things. Those who want to sit and chat. the cordial relationship that existed when we grew up. So people love our home. I'm making a point here. Now, many years have gone past. Now we are old. We all have our children. But one of the things we are very proud of, which maybe we didn't see it, is the fact that when we have got some of our relatives who are in touch with us to tell us, for instance, listen, when we were growing up, we knew auntie had a lot of money than you all. They had a big house. They had everything big. They have what they needed in a home, TV, those days, any gadgets you can think about, they had it. But what they didn't have in their home was the fact that the way we had love, we had peace, as Kofi said, we had a relationship. We knew how to play. We knew how to show what is that sort of support among us. So whatever we had, we shared, because we were eating, we were sharing our lunch, we were sharing supper. Mommy had to cook for everybody. So to them, when you ask some of these relatives or some of these friends who were not even related to her, they say, listen, your home was the place we all had the love we never got. What a tribute. What a remark. When people could look back and say there was something that drew them to our place. So what we are saying to the parents, what we are saying to young people, parents, you can make your home, as the previous panelists have all mentioned, you can make your home a place where your young people will love, a place that they will respect. Sometimes they may act as if they don't care, but when they go and taste the world and realize that what they had is far better than what they are getting, they will come. But when we are making, it's not about gadgets. It's not about those machines. It's not about money. It's not about you working shift upon shift upon shift, trying to make sure you have a 4-bedroom house with a basement and no, friends. That is not what we are talking about. Even though they are good, you are trying to make life comfortable for your family. Can we stop your pause to tell somebody money does not bring love? Money does not bring that sort of relationship and communication we are talking about. You need to spend time, let the job go. As Kofi said, not everybody will like everything that you want to bring. So some will like piano, others will like trumpet. If you want to go and watch football, not everybody will want to sit to watch football. But please create the time. Spend the time with the kids, and when they grow, they will never forget what you did for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Create the time, play with them. Sometimes they want to talk to you. You are watching your sport. You have to stop and spend time with them. Listen to them. They're not going to be with you forever. If you have a building, you have a 4-bedroom, 6-bedroom structure, and your children don't consider it a home, it's only a house. One day they will leave and they'll go and fend for themselves. Let us be very intentional about creating happiness in our home. The last point we want to talk about, now we live in the West. When we're growing up, your mom and dad will wake up and each person had their responsibility. Some people had to wash the net on Saturdays. Some people had to scrub, the tap outside the yard. Some people had to take the sheep out to go and eat. Some people had to feed the chicken. Now we live in Europe, or we live in the West, and you don't get these responsibilities where your kids get to test this out, and we are preparing them for life outside. The carpet is not always, the carpet don't need to be hoovered every day. But what are some of the things that we can do? What are some of the responsibilities? In just one word, what are some of the responsibilities you can challenge your young people to do in just one word? Because I want to look at competition at home, and then we bring it to a close. Just one word. Let's go.
Yeah, there are 2 things that you're teaching your kids with chores. It's responsibility and accountability. And irrespective of wherever you are, there's an opportunity to create a chore for your kids. My kids take 10 doing the dishes. They take 10s in folding the laundry. We all do our laundry together. We fold it together. There are some basic laundry.
Do they dress when they wake up?
Sorry, pardon me. Yes, that's not a choice. It's a mandatory. It's routine. Yeah, before you come out of your room, you You have to get your bed done. Yeah. Those ones are not. Those ones are basic. It's just like washing your face and brushing your teeth. Yeah, but I'm talking about, yes, those are chores too, but it benefits you more than your room. Tidying up your room is just, you're living a healthy environment. You don't pay rent. I'm just kidding. But when it comes to washing dishes, they take the time. They take turns in sweeping the kitchen. There are a lot of chores that you can help with. They can be they take turn under supervision to mow grass, take turn clean the car. Like every family has got a family car that is dirty, that needs some hoovering or needs some TLC. So there's so much. If you cannot find chore for your kids, please call me. I'll remind them. I'll remind them something.
I just want to say,
Nana, just a point before Debbie, or you see what the Kofi, I like what you said, but let's all remember, Debbie can attest to that. When we were young, we all had choice and responsibilities in the home. Somebody have to clean the reception or the sitting room. It was somebody's work, as you said, to wash the car. It was another person's job to sweep around the compound. And if you live in a shared accommodation, or how do we call it? There was a name we used. You have to sweep the entire compound. Sometimes those places they've got like a router. Today is family A10. Tomorrow it will be if it's water. Everybody, and those are the things that have made us who we are. So we were never afraid of what responsibility, or afraid of working, afraid of doing something. We never did any of these things for money. It was your duty, your role to make sure this thing is done even before you go to school. And if you are late and you get to school, you will see what the teachers will do to you.
And the whole purpose of this is, as Joojo said, it prepares us for the future. Debbie, I'm going to go to the last topic. Is it okay to teach our children healthy competition, or even to accept failure and success? Do you think it's something that, or do you think that failure destroys the self-esteem of our kids, and we should never expose them to failure? Like, basically, if let me put it this way: when we were young, you go to school at the end of the term, you get your report. There are 52 people in the class, and you came number 50. And people say that this type of system is not good because it reduces the child's self-esteem. But the reason I'm talking about this is, in real life, life is a competition. You will have to compete to go to the best of uni. You have to compete to get a job. You have to compete to get a salary. You have to compete to get married. You even competed before you into this world. But the Western society wants us to believe and think that competition is not healthy. Can you just share, like having two boys? Obviously, you've seen them competing. Normally, the firstborn or the lastborn, the secondborn always wants to match up with the second. How do you see competition? Is this something we should encourage as parents?
I think we have to encourage healthy competition, because that is life. We cannot. Even as adults, sometimes we fail. Sometimes. And it's not that you did not prepare. I was having this conversation with my son this morning, that sometimes you do your best, you do everything you have to do, yet things don't go well. But that's just the very fact of life. So when you fail, you don't have to see it like a setback, or okay, I'm finished, I'm good for nothing. No, you have to look at the lessons that you can learn. Maybe that setback was even opening another door of opportunity. So even though it did not happen that time, maybe God is preparing something better for you. And so whenever you fail, and sometimes I tell my kids, like way back, and my husband, so we share our childhood stories. Things that happened to us, that, the first time that you were not first, or you went back in line in the positions. That was just the very fact of life, because everyone has unique abilities, and someone would have more than you have. And so there is, it's a fact of life that they would overtake you, but you don't have to see it as, I want to be as this person. Look at the qualities that God has endowed you with, the gifts, and use it also to attain the height that He has purpose for your life. So when it comes to competition, I think it's a fact of life. When you fail, that's why we are there as parents. Let's support them. Let's not try to name call them, oh, you are good for nothing. We should be very careful with our words, because I think it's some of these things that make our kids to feel that if they fail, that means they are failure for life. As adults, if we would admit we do fail, we do make mistakes, but it's not the end of our life. You use the mistake or the failure as a jump start to the next section of your life.
Kofi, I was going to ask you to say a few words, and Joojo will bring the whole thing to a close. I mean, about this issue of as Debbie said, when these things happen, the words we say, if your child is being forced to do well in science, and your child is an art student or a reading student, and then the parents are comparing one child to the other and saying words that really hurt, because you think that this child is brilliant in mathematics, so all your kids should be brilliant in mathematics, and then what you don't know. So I just want to share a few experience on this. If you you've muted yourself, Kofi. We can't hear you. Kofi is muted.
Sorry. I'll echo what Debbie just said. It makes a lot of sense. The other thing we have to do is also build resilience for the kids. So encouraging healthy competition and teaching them how to compete well, and letting them understand the rule of failure, and failure being an opportunity for growth, rather than failure and being a challenge, seeing failure as a challenge and an opportunity for growth.
Thank you. I was just going to say, like, my house, I've just realized this, but most of you don't know, but when we were growing up, you wake up, and when it's school term over, you have... Sorry? So you have... Are we still on?
Yeah, go ahead, Nana.
All right, so you have your Ludo, Snake Ladder, Monopoly, all these games that you used to play, right? Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Sometimes when you lose, people will laugh at you. Yeah, it's preparing the child for failure and for success. I was reading the story of this a Korean guy who goes to America. That thing now is an Asian guy, goes to America, goes to Cornell University. He's got everything working for him, and then he loses his job. He's never seen failure, because in their culture, failure is like a taboo. So he's lost his job. He doesn't know what to do. He decides to commit suicide because today there are young people who just faced a broken heart from maybe a girl says, I don't like you anymore, and then they go into serious depression, and they want to end their life because they've never been taught to accept that sometimes things don't go the way you want things to be. Anyway, on that note, I'll leave to Pastor Joojo to say the final words, and then we'll take the questions. Last words, Pastor Bonnie.
Yeah, thank you, Nana. So what I will say to our parents, and I will say to the young people who are all listening tonight, that we just want you to know there is a need for you to strive for excellence. There is a need. There is a place for competition, as Debbie said, healthy competition, because if you don't put your mindset to competing and getting to the top, you are not going to achieve anything. Let me put it that way. And I know I'm saying this because of the way we have all been brought up. That is why we have got some of this hard skin. We are not moved by certain. And also when it comes to the home aspect, the story is said about the prodigal son. I just mentioned one thing and we go. The Bible says when this guy who did not deserve to take that which did not belong to him until the dad passes away, the Bible says the younger son took what was not rightfully his and went to a far country to spend. But the interesting thing about this story, as I said, the Bible says when he remembered what he was missing, when he remembered that at home there are servants in my father's house who did not even have to work to get what they got and how they enjoyed life. When he remembered that the home that they provided everything for him, they bought everything that he needed. There was food, there was excess of what? Milk, fruit, there was a means where a driver would even drive him out. There was a car, there was anything that he wanted, and this guy left all that because he thought there was something far better in the world than what he was getting home. So the Bible says when he came to his senses, but that's not the point I want to make. The point I want to bring out is the fact that the guy remembered there is something better at home. Nobody push him out of home. So parents, when we have done our best, even though sometimes the young people will not appreciate your hard work, your hard effort, don't worry. Don't worry, sometimes they need to go out to get that experience. But when home is better, when home is good, when home has got all the morals, and when home has got all the rules and values, when they remember what they are losing, they will always come back home. May God bless us. May God keep us as we forge ahead and build relationship with our young ones. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. That's a good one. Okay. I will start that one. Yeah. When we, how do you relate to your friends? You have to relate to your friends in the same way you relate to. I think there should be. I think I'm getting a call here. Are you okay?
Yeah.
All right. Good. All right. So the point is, sometimes young people may feel they've got church friends and they've got school friends, but you have to be the same person. You don't have to change for any of your friends. So I'm saying this because we all grew up in the same setting. As we went through tonight, we had friends that were not necessarily Christian friends. Some of them we met at school. Some of them were living in a neighborhood. Then we had friends that we all attended the same church. But when we all come together to play, or when they did come to a house, they knew what we stood for. They knew we were what? Christian. We came from a certain background. So there are things that we will never do, even though we are playing. We won't go laughing at people. We wouldn't go causing trouble or doing any mess. We wouldn't do things that will cause somebody will pinpoint their finger, look at this. We just had fun. So to me, you need to make sure, again, we chose friends, and we make sure the friends that we chose, they were friends that we learned something from them. They didn't come changing us, but we have to make sure we made an impact, or some of them also did, yes, made an impact on us. But at the end of the day, make sure your friend will be the sort of friend that he will lead you to trouble. He will be the friend that would advise you. He will be the friend that will be there for you. There is an old proverb that says, show me your friend and I'll show you your character. So picking friends, please just be careful. Be nice, but not everybody you are acquainted with is called a friend. Thank you.
Next question, sir. This is a very good question. This is a young man who is very athletic, who is coming from a single parent home, and there's a lot of issues here, because if you're a man growing up, a boy growing up, you always desire to have a role model. You were designed to have a man that somebody you can look up to, call the daddy. And when daddy is not there, mommy is going to try, but there is a role for daddy. And then if daddy is not there, sometimes boys try to look for anything that feels like a man, look like a man, and it's a big issue there. I'm sure mom was also going to try, your mom is trying to also put some strong values in you, as Joojo said. The word is value, because if you know what you stand for, when you know what you stand for, then it is very easy to have your way around people. If you don't know what you stand for, then you fall for everything. But even if you are